Hi there and welcome. This is Wellness Wednesday with Lauren Baptiste. So great having you. I'm really excited to be with you. We are officially now live on all of our medias. So just to reiterate, I'm Lauren Baptiste from Aklo Wellness, and this is Wellness Wednesday. Every Wednesday, we share tips, tricks, tools, techniques so that you can thrive all year long, regardless of the situation, regardless of work or COVID or anything else that's getting in our way. I am here to break it down for you. So today's topic is all about healing adrenal fatigue through sleep. Sorry, that was on Instagram. I'm like shifting the camera. But okay, today we are talking about healing our adrenal fatigue through sleep. And this is really powerful on the series to feeling great. We started with really understanding what is adrenal fatigue a few weeks ago. Last week, we talked about even foods that could support. We talked about lifestyle techniques and tricks that can support. And today we're talking about your sleep and how this is so supportive. So join me, be part of this. This is for the next 20 minutes of your life so that you can start to get a hold of feeling great in your every single day. And so to just reintroduce myself, if we haven't met before, I am an executive wellness coach and founder of Aklo Wellness. I help women leaders like you break through stuck, burnout, overwhelm so that they can thrive. My company empowers and equips ambitious souls with the tools and the shifts in your mindset to be successful in the ever-changing environment. I have a background working over 10 years in corporate, but I also have a background in the ancient science of Ayurveda, yoga, Reiki, and other healing modalities that can help you at no matter what stage you're at in your life. So let's get into it because I'm really excited to talk about sleep. And I'm sure a lot of you who are listening could appreciate some better Z's at night, if you know what I mean. So of course, always and forever, feel free to message me on whatever portal you are connected to, whether you're on Facebook or Zoom or Instagram. I am live to answer your questions as it relates to sleep and adrenal fatigue, and even to let me know how your sleep has been and maybe why it's been off. So one thing that I hear so often from executives, from hardworking women, is that it's really challenging to fall asleep at an appropriate time. You notice that you're rushing through the day, maybe exhausted through the day. You finally get that opportunity when it's time to go to bed, and then you're exhausted. And then you can't sleep. You can't sleep. Do you ever have that second wind? Have you ever experienced that? Where all of a sudden you're exhausted all day, you get home, you finally have a moment to settle, or maybe even have permission to go to bed, but then you can't go to bed. And then all of a sudden, what starts off as maybe trying to go to bed at 11 turns into 12:30 because you watch some extra Netflix. And then all of a sudden you feel groggy in the morning. That happens a lot. And so I'm going to share some techniques, and we're talking about adrenal fatigue specifically. So I want to mention that, but just the idea of feeling better in your overall sleep. So when we're talking about adrenal fatigue, the idea is that we've overdone it. Our adrenals, it's these little glands that sit on top of your kidneys that are exhausted. They're the ones that are exerting all of the cortisol and and all of the other hormones like adrenaline that keep us really focused on what we're doing and attentive. And so it's really important that we're nourishing our adrenals, because if they go into overdrive, then all of a sudden our work isn't as productive, our lives aren't as productive or feel as fulfilled. So sleep is an important part of this. One of the most prominent Ayurvedic doctors, Claudia Welch, she has an incredible book called Balance Your Hormones, Balance Your Life. And in this book, she says that ideally, if I could cure someone from adrenal fatigue, I would say sleep for a year and then come back to me. And that's really her just putting the importance on sleep in your every single day, and that we need sleep to thrive. There's so often this mentality of I'll sleep when I'm dead, right? Or sleep comes last. And we need to shift that thought. sleep is an asset that we need to be successful in our work with our families. We know this when we had a bad sleep that we're really groggy. New moms know this when they're trying to raise a baby and they're trying to work and it's just like foggy. And they have a word for that, right? They call it like mom fog or brain fog. But the idea is like we need to get our sleep where we can, when we can, and the best we can, because this is really important to our well-being. Sleep is also good for our immunity and our well-being. It helps us feel less anxious. It helps us feel more nourished. So sleep is critical. Are we all bought into sleep now? Okay, cool. Now that we're there, let's talk about how we could get better sleep, right? Because that's why you're here. So a few things that I want to share with you as it's relating to adrenal fatigue. So you could say a lot of things about sleep, and I'll definitely have future episodes where we talk about techniques just for sleep, but this is related to adrenal fatigue and sleep and rest. And the cool thing is if you're experiencing this stress is that you have permission to sleep. So let's start there first and foremost. Number one, you have permission to sleep. So if you feel that over the past few years, your career has prevented you from getting good sleep, I want you to know that sleep is really critical. So what we're going to say is it's not just the sleep at night. A lot of us, maybe on the weekends, like to do a little cat nap. Maybe some of us who are working from home because of COVID hit a 3 o'clock time of day where they're just exhausted. Can you nap? If you have that time, maybe you could take that 30 minutes, take a quick cat nap, and then come back and then work 30 minutes after. So often I hear if we could take a short break in the afternoon, usually that afternoon time is meant for creativity. But if we're dealing with adrenal fatigue, it means we're dealing with times of exhaustion. So if you're exhausted and you feel that like hit in the afternoon where you usually go for another cup of coffee, my invitation to you while you're home, and if you can, start to put it in a block for a little nap. The same amount of time you would take to make a coffee or go for a walk, right? Rest is critical for those that are dealing with fatigue. Really, right? Fatigue, the idea, I'm tired, let your body rest. So a lot of times I get questions, are we allowed to nap? Is napping good for a dosha, bad for a dosha, for Ayurveda? What about my life? It is allowed. If you're dealing with stress, we need to come down from that stress. So as much rest as possible. All right, so now that we know that we can nap again, woo-hoo. Number two, try to be in bed as close to 10 o'clock at night as possible. I know that could be a challenging time. For some of you, that's a great time. Some of you are already doing that. So let's talk about why 10 o'clock is really important. At 10 o'clock, the day starts to shift from one mode to the other. And we can talk about that some other time about why that's the case. But at 10 o'clock, based on the circadian rhythm of the day, we start to shift into this like night hour, these night hours or early night hours. And then in the morning between 2 and 6 a.m., we have these like later night hours. And so in these earlier night hours, what happens is everything starts to detoxify, right? And we hear this word all the time, detoxifying being this really sexy thing. We just want to detoxify everything out. But the reality is if your body is working in an ideal state, all the detoxification you need happens if you get good rest. To be honest, right? We could take, as long as we're taking care of ourselves, that's really all we need. So what happens is all of a sudden the liver, the janitor organ of the body, starts to go around and clean up. Now, if we're still awake at 10 o'clock, there's a chance that, have you ever been in a conference room or an office when the cleaning person starts to come by your cubicle? It's the same thing. They're not going to clean your cubicle. They'll just grab your garbage. They'll do minimum and they'll move on. And that's how the rest of your body is. If you don't sleep for periods of time that are before 10 o'clock at night, you're starting to kind of miss areas of cleaning that are really critical. Even for some of us who eat really late, drink really late. I'm a New Yorker, like I live in the city and I know that there's this like night owl kind of mentality, but it actually over time can be really detrimental to health. It could start to put us in high alert as it relates to our stress and anxiety. Go figure, in New York City, it's like a perpetual cycle of stress. But anyway, that's another episode for another time. All right, so we have permission to nap. We are going to be in bed at 10 o'clock every night. And what else is really important for our sleep? See, I'm not going to talk about, just so you know, I'm not going to talk about what time we should be getting up in the morning, because for those that are experiencing adrenal fatigue, the idea is that you need that rest. So I'm not going to tell you what time you need to wake up on this episode, but one day when we're talking about sleep, there is an ideal time we want to be waking up for optimal health. But the last thing I want to share about your sleep is that it needs to be consistent. And so one thing that we think of is this idea of I'm going to sleep on the weekends for 15 hours to make up for the little sleep that I had during the week. Anyone else do that? For sure, I do that. I used to do that all the time. For me, right, even now I can feel it doesn't make up what I've lost, to be honest. Sometimes even those days when I'm like, I'm going to just sleep for a really long time, I actually feel really groggy, gross, heavy. So there's a balance. And the idea is to get into a consistent rhythm with your sleep. Whether you sleep 6 hours a night, 8 hours a night, 10 hours a night, I don't care which is which, right? Ideally, I don't want you sleeping, especially if you're dealing with adrenal fatigue, for less than 6 hours. I try to increase that a little bit, but make sure you're doing it the same. Going to bed around the same time, setting a pre-bed schedule. And it doesn't have to be so, list and bullet pointed, but before bed, what are the things that you like to do to wind down? Maybe it's dim the lighting. Maybe it's reading from a physical book. One of my favorite things I like to do before bed is massage my feet. Some other really supportive things are getting away from electronics, removing unnecessary or unsupportive sounds. So many things we could do to better our path to sleep. Do you notice that sometimes you just run all day to the point where you then land in your bed and then hope for sound sleep? It doesn't fully work like that. I know for me, it doesn't work like that. And especially when I'm stressed, that's when my mind starts to turn on. So let's wrap up, because I know that I just shared a lot right there about sleep, of what you can do to feel really great. So starting from the top, napping is permitted. Napping is a good thing. Give yourself time and space to nap if and when you can. 2, in bed by 10 o'clock where possible. There's some doctors that kind of get the reality that might not be possible, but they really say by 11, no exceptions, be in bed. Lastly, right, a consistent routine and a pre-bed ritual. Know what supports you before bed. Know what makes you feel worse before bed. That's really important to know, because otherwise we start to just feel like crap and we show up to work not our best selves. So sleep is really critical as we're working through these next phases of healing from stress, healing from adrenal fatigue. So what I want to do here, right, with the last few minutes that we have, I would love to know, what is that one thing that you are going to do to support your sleep for next time, for tonight? Is it the pre-bed ritual? Is it going to be going to take a nap in 20 minutes? Is it going to be something else? Take a moment to really get clear on what you need to get better disease. Because I'm telling you, if your sleep changes, your life will change. How you digest your food will change. How you perceive a situation will change. How you lead others will change. So this is it. This is your moment. These principles are so simple, but they're not easy, right? It's really simple to say be in bed at 10 o'clock and tell yourself that you're going to be in bed by 10 o'clock, but all of a sudden it's 10:30 and we're still awake, or it's 2 a.m. and we're still awake. So commit to these tasks where you can. And that's where, after all of these Wellness Wednesdays, I always love to encourage, what's one thing? Because if I try to take 10 things on, it doesn't work. Yeah, I love it. I'm seeing some really awesome feedback. I'm going to bed when I put my son to bed. Awesome. Really good. Really, really great. Any other feedback, always welcome. But I'm really excited to see what you do with this because there is so much like juice in this fruit. So I want you to be really mindful as you take your next steps forward. I also see, awesome, naps are the best. Let's see, going to make a commitment to doing 2 restorative poses before bed. Yeah, one thing that we didn't even talk about today that could be really awesome is yoga nidra or restorative yoga before bed. But we can talk about that in the future as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. This is today's session. There's so much we can do to support ourselves no matter where we are. So if we feel like we're about to burn out, if we're already burnt out, if we're questioning even our stress a little bit, double down on the things that feel good. Double down on self-care, on serving yourself and others so that you can work through this in the most positive, optimistic way. My name is Lauren Baptiste. I am here for you in every single way. Feel free to email me, message me, contact me. I'm here for you. I so hope that you have a wonderful sleep tonight. Let me know what you end up doing. Wishing you an incredible Wednesday and rest of your week. Talk very soon. Take care. Bye.